Alright, we're here. Valkyrie Drive. Now, I done an unboxing video of the collector's edition months ago. Then I moved, had Christmas and such, and as it always goes, shit got bumped back. Suffice to say the least, I was super excited to get into this game. As a huge fan of the Senran Kagura series, this wait was killing me. Then I finally got to it. And it was really underwhelming. This game was a huge disappointment to me, and we'll get to why shortly. Valkyrie Drive is a brawler similar to Senran Kagura. Hell, it even shares animations lifted directly out of that game, and many of its motifs are also the same. Where Senran Kagura had a huge cast of characters, this has a very, very conservative cast. I don't mean these girls are conservatives as opposed to liberals, I just mean there's not very many of them. These girls all have a unique strain of a virus called the V virus. These girls all have a unique strain of a virus called the V virus. The strain they have is called the VR virus, not related to virtual reality. They are all brought to an island to battle one another and be studied so that a cure might be found. While on the island, the story really becomes an excessively dragged out story of classism that plays out over the same rinsed and repeated areas of the game, solving the same rinsed and repeated issues up until about mission 16 or 17. Around here, the story finally picks up and takes on some cool ideas, but by this point, it's already too little too late. The story took about 26 hours to complete, of which about 10 hours or more was just visual novel content that went on way longer than it should for how little was being said. The game would be great at 9 to 15 hours, but at 26, it was simply too much and left me feeling just burnt out by the end. With this small cast of characters comes the opportunity, though, to have deeper character development. And with this opportunity also comes the opportunity to have a major letdown. The characters are all pretty damn shallow. They usually have one little shtick that gets played to death after having been on screen for about 1 hour. Some characters do have a sense of development, but it's pretty generic. You know, your basic tsundere characters becoming likable and friendly, the usual stuff. The costume designs are basic and boring, but I do like Manpuku's outfit and Viola's. Playing as these characters is a mixed bag. Most are fun-ish, but the one I found to be the funnest to play, Manu, had the least amount of missions dedicated to her, and the one I found unbearably awful to play as, Mana, had way too many missions at the front of the game. To give the illusion of deep characters, you can raise relationship levels by tapping these hearts on the screen. These appear above characters' heads annoyingly between every chapter, constantly interrupting gameplay for anybody choosing to acknowledge these. To make sure you get them all, you will need to switch between each of your characters here in the hub area, sometimes multiple times, and that's it. That's all there is to raising relationship levels in the hub area. That's some real deep relationship building there. Sarcasm implied. Occasionally, this will prompt an event called Memories, where a small story will play out featuring you and the character the event was triggered on. Memories are just stories told through text on a flat background. Sometimes they're nice or charming, but usually they're bland and forgettable. To semi-make up for the small character list, the characters always play in teams of 2. Who you have as your partner slightly changes the playstyle when you enter Drive. Entering Drive causes your partner to turn into a weapon. The higher your Drive level, the cooler the weapon, the cooler the attacks you can pull off, and the more lewd the cutscene showing the initiation of Drive is. But overall, it doesn't make up for a whole lot. Fighting is fine and fluid if you just mash the square button, but it can get repetitive fast, and playing as Mana is garbage. The triangle button, when held down, launches a unique strong attack. However, it's very unresponsive at times and almost not worth bothering with. Pressing circle can launch enemies in the air and you can dart after them. This can be repeated several times before hitting the ground, and makes aerial combat a pretty cool function, though it's sadly still underdeveloped. There's simply not enough that can be done up here. Also, the camera. Jesus Christ, the camera. I simply couldn't handle it for another minute. It's fine when you're not locked onto an enemy, but certain battle techniques require lock-on to be enabled. To make battles worse, the enemy AI is so bad that around mission 19, I switched the game to easy, to not deal with it as much anymore. I clocked this basic enemy here on normal difficulty as taking 31 hits to kill. 31 hits to kill a normal enemy with bad AI is not a fun time. The game felt much more enjoyable on easy, as it wasn't so much of an annoying, unchallenging grind. That said, towards the end, the game does get very difficult, but it's more so annoying than anything. I say this because enemies are given obvious advantages. Some of the enemies you fight can trigger a final drive transformation without ever having hit you first. If they're not dealing damage to you, then they're not charging the meter necessary to enter drive, let alone final drive. This was thoroughly aggravating, though I persevered. I did manage to finish the game, but here at the end it tells me the true ending is locked behind getting double S ranks on random missions. I wasn't about to go back and do this, so I made my own stipulations for seeing the final ending. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open up a web browser. Don't turn off the porn. Never turn off the porn. Next, you want to open a new tab. In the URL, you want to type in youtube.com. Very important. When YouTube loads, type in Valkyrie Drive True Ending and click on the one that has the hottest thumbnail and voila! That's it, you've unlocked the true ending of Valkyrie Drive. How hard is that? Oh, and, well, we'll just finish watching this instead. Bonus points to whoever knows who's on the screen. I know it sounds like I'm really ragging on this game, but it's because I love the games this man makes. This had so much potential, but it really feels like it was thoroughly underdeveloped and sold because the characters had amazing breasts and crazy breast physics. Breast physics so crazy they react to the camera movements. Really, this could have been so much better with a little bit of polish. Let's go over some things that easily could have been fixed. The camera. We've talked about this. It's terrible. These jitters here. This only occurs when running at a chair next to a person, but really doesn't need to exist. I don't need to complain about it either. It's really trivial, but still, it's here. Translation problems. This is number 3. Translation problems. These were all over the game. At one point during a memory, the text went so far down the screen, it couldn't be read anymore. I don't have this one captured, but it happened. Trust me. 4. Man is a sack of shit. She could play way better. 5. The audio. This wasn't abundantly obvious on my Vita speakers, but on my television, it was clear. The audio was distorting in-game. This is very clear when characters speak in unison or when many enemies are being struck at once. 6. While the dressing room allows for amazing creations like this, about 50% of the time when leaving the dressing room, the game would hard crash. What the fuck, guys? Fix this. 7. Enemy AI is too terrible for how many hits they can take. 8. This one especially pissed me off. Right before a boss, these enemies here didn't properly load. The only part about them that did load was their jet flames. They were still able to launch attacks, but I couldn't hit them. I had to reset the level and do it over to continue. 9. The game has shit to find all over the stages, and this is great, but some of it forces replayability. Replayability should be encouraged, not forced, but I digress. My real issue with the stuff around the levels is that some of it requires platforming, and the platforming is awful. 10. The store offers very little upfront for costumes to buy for your characters. 11. If you've spent time heavily accessorizing a character, The accessories will only appear in stage if you are playing as that character, not if you are playing against them. That just seems lazy to me. I mean, I know I got a lot more to complain about, and a lot of this stuff might seem kind of trivial. The voice acting was good, but the music was mostly forgettable, and only a couple tunes struck me as cool. But I'm not gonna go too far down that route. I mean, not like I could write much better. Cause when your boobs are too big, then they're just big enough, and that's when I'll be happy. I didn't like this game as much as I was hoping. It would be great if it was much shorter, but over the extended period of time it takes to play, its flaws get more and more apparent, and the need for a beer grows stronger and stronger. It's not a total waste to play or get this game, but hell if I didn't find it so much worse than it should have been. Here's hoping this isn't a sign of things to come. I already have my doubts about the new Senran spin-off. I make it a bit of a goal to play these fan service games for you guys. I try to be objective and I usually enjoy what I play. But this time, man, after the first 14 hours, this was thoroughly disappointing. Anyhow, that's all I'm really gonna say about this. As always, thanks for watching.